Today, we are diving into an absolutely fascinating story of scientific discovery. We're talking about a new weapon against one of the most common infections in the world, and here's the kicker, it was found hiding somewhere you'd never, ever think to look.
And really, that question is what this whole story is about. It turns out the answer might not be in some brand new synthetic drug, but in the amazing microbes that are already living inside of us.
You know, for so many people, UTIs aren't just a one-and-done kind of problem. They can be this painful, incredibly frustrating cycle of infection, then treatment, then it comes right back. It can seriously impact your quality of life.
And this is where things get really interesting. The breakthrough didn't come from a big pharmaceutical lab. Nope. It came from the natural protective ecosystem of the human body itself.
So, to really get why this new weapon is such a game changer, we first have to understand the enemy. Let's take a look at just how big and how complicated this whole UTI problem really is. Just look at this number, 150 million. That's the estimated number of UTI cases that happen worldwide every single year. This isn't some niche issue, it's a massive global health problem. But you know, the real challenge isn't just the sheer number of infections, it's why they keep coming back.
And right here, this is the main villain of our story. They're called bacterial persisters. And you can think of them just like sleeper agents. See, when you hit an infection with antibiotics, most of the bacteria die off. But these guys, they're different. They go into this dormant, super low energy state. They just hunker down, ride out the antibiotic storm, and then, once the coast is clear, they wake up and start the whole infection all over again. It's a huge reason why UTIs can become chronic and are just so hard to get rid of for good.
So, if our usual antibiotics can't always take out these sleeper agents, then what can? Well, researchers started thinking, maybe we're looking in the wrong place. Instead of just attacking the bad guys, what if we got some help from the good guys? An unlikely hero was about to step onto the stage.
And here it is. Meet our hero, a type of bacteria called Lactobacillus. These are the dominant protective microbes in a healthy vaginal microbiome. Now, scientists have known for a long time that they help keep infections at bay. But the real magic here, the real breakthrough, isn't the bacteria themselves, it's the powerful stuff they produce.
Now, this is a really important distinction, so let's be clear. We hear a lot about probiotics, right? The actual live bacteria. But this research is all about postbiotics. Think of it this way. The probiotics are the workers, but the postbiotics are the tools that the workers make and leave behind. They're these amazing compounds and metabolites that offer a ton of the same health benefits, but they're way more stable and easier to turn into a therapy.
Okay, so we know lactobacillus makes something really powerful. But what exactly is it? The next step for these scientists was basically to play detective and figure out the exact chemical recipe for this secret weapon.
So what they did was they took this broth. The technical term is cell-free supernatant that was left over after they grew a bunch of lactobacillus. They filtered out all the bacteria, so all that was left was this chemical soup. Then they started the very long and careful process of separating out every little ingredient in that soup to find out which ones were doing the heavy lifting.
And they found them. Two molecules really stood out, itaconic anhydride and negative terpenine for all. Now on their own, they were pretty good. But when you put them together, wow, they had this incredibly powerful synergistic effect. It's like 1 + 1 doesn't equal 2, it equals 5. Their combined punch was way, way stronger than the sum of their parts. This was the combo they were looking for.
And here's where it gets really cool. What's incredible is just how elegantly and brutally this postbiotic combination works. It doesn't just hit the persister cells in one way, it launches this coordinated, three-pronged attack.
Okay, let's break this down. First, they poison the cell. They basically crank up the production of these things called reactive oxygen species, or ROS, inside the bacteria, which creates this super toxic environment that the dormant cell just can't handle. Second, they breach its defenses. They make the bacteria's outer wall leaky, essentially punching holes in its armor. And third, they disarm it. They shut down these little things called efflux pumps. You can think of these pumps as tiny bouncers at a club door that are constantly throwing antibiotics out. By disabling them, these postbiotics make sure that any antibiotic that's around can get in and stay in. It's a total takedown.
So figuring out this mechanism is a huge deal. But a discovery in a lab is one thing. How do you actually turn it into a treatment that people can use? The next phase was all about smart engineering to create a practical solution.
So the team created this new vaginal wash. They took their 2-star molecules and then added a third one to the team, tryptamine. Now, tryptamine is a specialist. Its job is to destroy biofilms, you know, those slimy protective fortresses that bacteria build around themselves. So the final formula could now take on the persister cells, disable their defenses, and tear down their walls all at once.
But here is the really clever part. The delivery system. All those active ingredients were mixed into a polymer called poloxamer 407. And here's what's so cool about it. At room temperature, it's a liquid, which makes it really easy to apply. But as soon as it comes into contact with body heat, it instantly transforms into a gel. This means the therapy stays exactly where it needs to be for a longer time, making it way more effective. It's such a simple but brilliant idea. Of course, all of this sounds amazing in theory, right? But does it actually work in a real infection? Well, let's look at the preclinical data from the mouse models, because the results are, well, they're pretty stunning. Okay, take a look at this chart. It's super clear. The researchers gave mice a vaginal E. coli infection. The groups that got no treatment or even just a standard commercial wash, you can see they still had really high levels of inflammation. But the group treated with the custom postbiotic wash, look at that, a massive, dramatic drop in inflammation almost all the way down to normal levels.
And here's the headline number right here, an 8-log reduction. The new wash caused an 8-log reduction in the amount of bacteria found in the treated mice. Now, to put that into perspective for you, a 1-log reduction is a 90% kill rate. An 8-log reduction is a 99.9999999% kill rate. I mean, that is a staggering, almost total wipeout of the bacteria.
So let's just recap the big wins from this study. First, it was totally safe. No negative side effects. Second, it hugely reduced all the physical signs of infection, the redness, the swelling, and maybe most important of all, it completely cleared the E. coli infection, not just from the local area, but from the mice's urine, their bladders, and their kidneys too. It stopped the infection dead in its tracks.
And this all brings us to one final, really thought-provoking question. What this research shows us is that by studying the kind of chemical warfare that's already happening inside our own bodies, inside our own microbiomes, we might just discover a whole new arsenal of weapons to fight off drug-resistant superbugs. Maybe the answers we've been looking for have been hiding inside of us all along.